Okay. Good morning, afternoon. I guess it is. 12 o'clock means it's noon time. My name's James McIntyre. I am the Outreach and Mission Associate here at Illinois Association of Court-Appointed Special Advocates. Couple of things. I am so excited to be doing this um, event for the first time as a statewide level. Many of our local programs, many of whom are listening in right now, do this program in their particular counties and regions. And due to COVID-19, weren't able to do it this year. And so it's very nice to support our thousands and thousands of volunteers, our thousands and thousands of kids that we care for, and the communities that we deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate during this time. So it would be myself and Kristen as the sort of MCs. We're going to be bouncing around. We have a full agenda today, as you can see, with everybody here, from the director of DCFS to judges, state legislators, and other key people that sort of touch the lives of kids across our state. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Kristen for an introduction and some housekeeping information.
All right, thank you for attending our Hands Across Illinois. This is great. And so there are a few of you that are wondering why you don't see your picture. Well, the pictures today, the video stream, is for the people that are speaking, the people that are going to give great information about our CASA network. So again, my name is Kristen Bertrand, and I've been with CASA for 11 years. First as an advocate coordinator, and then as the executive director for 5 years with CASA of East Central Illinois, before my first current position for Illinois CASA as the training associate. I'm sorry, I'm reading some chat there. So as the training associate, I provide support and trainings for local programs which are centered on ensuring the best practices for the network. I conduct training events for staff and volunteers, and I get to hear firsthand their passion, their professionalism, their care and concern for the Illinois youth in care. There are currently 32 CASA programs in 54 counties in Illinois. The programs together have 2,428 volunteers who advocate on behalf of 7,230 children. Volunteer advocates range in age from 21 to octogenarians and beyond. Volunteers are retired or working professionals, skilled workers, teachers, some are moms, some are dads, and grandparents. CASA advocates complete 30 hours of initial pre-service training, and then they volunteer an average of 10 hours each month. They visit children, they write reports to the juvenile judge about the progress, the needs, and safety concerns for each child of whom they are assigned. The 32 CASA programs exist to support the work of volunteer advocates and are a liaison between the juvenile court, DCFS, and the volunteer. I am proud of our Illinois CASA volunteer advocates and their staff and the work that we do in an effort to change a child's story here in Illinois. So it is my honor right now to introduce to you Mary Christopherson. Mary is the CEO of Illinois CASA. She is a visionary, and I have watched her lead Illinois CASA from a very small office of just 3 employees to a professional working state office equipped to support, lead, and guide the many local programs across the state. Mary, I welcome you to our virtual podium.
Thank you so much, Kristen, and thank you for the kind words. First of all, about me, I didn't expect that, but about our volunteers, because that's really what our purpose is, and it's the backbone of why we exist. So as James said, this event came about because a lot of our local programs hold in-person meetings that are feel good and motivate our volunteers to do the hard work that they do. Because of COVID-19, that couldn't come about. And about 2 weeks ago, one of our directors in Peoria mentioned how bummed out the volunteers were not to have a chance to get together, be with their DCFS partners, court-based partners. And so James said, why not do something virtual? And I thought maybe we'd have 100 people participate, 1 or 2 speakers. There are close to 600 pre-registered, and who knows how many more on Facebook. So it's just a testament to the dedication of all the CASA volunteers and the staff, and also just that all of us are looking for an opportunity to kind of feel good in a time it's hard to look for positive things. So I wanted to, Kristen did a great job talking about the CASA program in normal times. I want to talk a little bit about how you all have stepped up during COVID-19. Our volunteers are needed more than ever to help judges know what's going on with children and families. We have heard just amazing stories of their creativity, from doing drive-bys and getting out of the car and waving to children. They are upping their usual requirement of once a month in-person meetings to once a week. Staff are stepping up, and really, we just want to make sure that we can support all of our partners in the child welfare system to make sure children and families are safe during a period of crisis, because that's what we all are in. I want to go on and just talk about FY20 or FY20, you know, and talk about the challenges we've all been through. So it's the first year ever of state funding for CASA. Our network, as Kristen said, has grown incredibly from 5,700 youth a year ago to, as she mentioned, almost 7,300. Our permanency rate has improved. 48 more cases are closing on average a month than they did before. And we're in 7 new counties. So all that's been really great. And then COVID hit. We've rebooted. We want to thank the department. I just found out today, letting us sort of reboot in Q3 and 4 to really make sure that the programs and the volunteers on the ground can reallocate resources. We're going to be buying masks for not only our volunteers, but for those children that we advocate for. And we're just trying to look ahead. You know, after the shutdown, we all anticipate that the number of youth in care are going to increase. We've heard everything from by 5% to 15%. None of us really know, but we do know that we have a motivated group of volunteers that are going to help with that transition. And we've had a lot of inquiries for new volunteers to train and to train virtually. So even though this is a tough time, we thank all of you for sort of sticking with it. And we're going to look ahead for whatever comes next. So that's all I have to say. It's really a thank you for everybody. This isn't very scripted. People are going to come on and sort of say what their experience is with CASA. We have, as we have mentioned, we have everybody from former youth in care here today, current volunteers, lots of legislators, which we thank so much for taking the time to do this. So anyway, so it's sort of a free-for-all, and I hope everybody that's listening enjoys what they hear. So it's my distinct pleasure to make the first introduction, and that is to Acting Director Mark Smith from DCFS. Mark was appointed by Governor Pritzker in April of 2019. Prior to that appointment, Mark was the Executive Vice President at Aunt Martha's Health and Wellness, Illinois' largest provider of services for families in crisis. And he was there since about 2009. What some of you might not know about Mark is he served for a long period of time on the board of Illinois CASA, back when we were like a little tiny organization with a budget of about $150,000. Mark has known CASA since his work as a caseworker. He's been a consistent supporter, and we just really thank him for taking some time out of his busy schedule to be with us. I think we can all agree that Mark might have one of the hardest jobs in the state of Illinois. ensuring the safety and well-being of really vulnerable families and children. I can only imagine the complexity of coming onto an agency like that and having COVID be sort of your responsibility too. It's a lot. It's a lot to manage. I will say that one of the COVID-19 silver linings is the renewed sense of working together, not just CASA, not just DCFS, but everybody that's involved in the lives of needy children. And we look forward to growing that next year, and just can't thank the director enough for the cooperation, not just of him being here today, but all of the senior staff, right down to their caseworkers. So Director Smith, welcome, sir.
Hello, thank you for that wonderful introduction. And really, I appreciate being invited to have this conversation today. I really look fondly back on my time working with CASA, being on the Illinois board. I really met some wonderful people and really got to participate in some very positive activities, which gave me a different level of insight into the work that the volunteers at CASA do. And like you said, I spent many years as a caseworker in the child welfare field, and I had a lot of very positive interactions with CASA volunteers, and really believe that the opportunity and the level of care that the volunteers have really produce a very positive result and a very positive influence in our child welfare family across the state of Illinois. I don't want to take up too much time and screen time. But I do want to make sure that you understand how much I appreciate all of the volunteers and the work that they do. As you can tell from the background of my picture, I'm calling from the road. I've been driving to Springfield and really had been having opportunity to see staff and people who are working in the field, who are continuing to deliver services to protect children. And we're very positive and feeling like our system from the private and public arms and our other partners throughout child welfare have really stepped up and made Illinois, and should be making Illinois proud by the work that we're all doing together. So let me start by saying, and of course, increasing my thanks for you letting me participate today. Thank you, Illinois CASA, for the incredible support that you've shown to the Department of Children and Family Services, our children, and families over the years. Your support has been particularly important during this incredibly challenging time that we're all facing together. While DCFS is central to the child welfare system, we never do this work alone. Every day, we work hand in hand with judges, state's attorneys, and law enforcement, with the ACLU and the Cook County Public Guardian and the Child Advocacy Centers, and with thousands of CASA volunteers in dozens of counties across the state. There's no better example of collaboration with our child welfare system than CASA volunteers working as a team member with our caseworkers and the guardians ad litem to ensure that the child that we support have an entire team on their side looking out for them. You are profoundly important advocates and in the best interest of our children and family safety. I am particularly proud of your willingness to work together to make urgent and necessary changes to our system in response to the spread of COVID-19. We know that one of the keys to helping our children overcome this trauma of abuse and neglect is having stable relationships with an adult. Many of you play a role in the lives of children. You provide caring, consistent adult connections with children when they need it most. The commitment all of you have made during your continued volunteering during this crisis has been instrumental to the children and to shining a light on these dark times. My understanding of just how important your work is goes far beyond my current role at DCFS. Like I said at the beginning, I really value and treasure the time that I spent working as a volunteer board member for Illinois CASA. And the lessons that I learned there inform my work today. We are all here today because April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. I wish we didn't need to do these kinds of events every year. I wish that abuse of children in Illinois that they suffer from would stop and all of us could find other work to do. But until that day comes, this work will not end. DCFS will keep adapting and responding to the challenges and the nature of this work and collaborate with partners like all of you until all children in Illinois thrive in a safe, permanent, and loving home. There are countless heroes in this fight against child abuse, among child protection investigators, caseworkers, residential providers. We also must acknowledge the volunteers who every day continue to join us in protecting children from the harm of abuse and neglect. I am incredibly proud to serve the children of Illinois alongside you, and I'm eternally grateful and eternally thankful that you share our deep commitment to these children. On behalf of everyone at DCFS, thank you.
Great words.
Yes, thank you, Director Smith. So our next speaker this morning is Kim King, and Kim is the Deputy Director of Illinois CASA. Kim worked at the Cook County Office of the Public Guardian for over 15 years. And Kim brings her own unique expertise and guidance to the local programs conducting quality assurance supervision and provides hands-on troubleshooting that supports the best interests of the children that we serve. And so I know that I have seen some people say that they could not see the people that are speaking. So I'm going to try to monitor that and spotlight the person that is speaking. So if all of our attendees could be patient, this is the first time we've done something so broad and expanded. So welcome, Kim.
Hello. It's truly an honor to be here today to speak with you for a few minutes about our responsibility as a community to help our most vulnerable populations. And those are children during this time that may be experiencing abuse or neglect or both. During a normal school year, when children go on breaks or during the summer when they're home with their families, DCFS sees a drop in calls to their hotline. This is because children are not being seen on a regular basis. They're not being seen by their amazing teachers, the school nurses, the school social workers, and even the people that work in the lunchrooms. People who act as confidants to children who may be going through some difficult times at home. And those people I consider heroes. They're able to detect if something is going wrong at home and to reach out to DCFS. The numbers right now, unfortunately, the calls to DCFS are going down again. The situation we are currently experiencing during this pandemic is far, far worse than any summer vacation for these children. Some would even call it a perfect storm. Our state and local officials are working very, very hard to keep us all safe. And they're doing a fantastic job of making sure that we all know what the rules are. But in the meantime, we have to be aware that there are children who are in homes who are isolated with very little, if any, contact with adults, people that they can trust and go to if there should be a problem. Again, we're talking about teachers, daycare worker providers, social workers, doctors, therapists, coaches, friends, and children are not even being able to attend church. So on top of all this isolation, we have families that are under incredible stress. You all know from your own lives how stressful this has been. Many families are worried about money. They're worried about losing their jobs. They're worried about where to get food. what happens if they get sick? And many of the families that are involved with DCFS have other issues going on as well, such as drug abuse, alcohol abuse, domestic violence in the home. And so this is just exacerbating the situation. So let's go on to the people that I mentioned earlier: teachers, daycare workers, providers, coaches, friends. These people are called mandated reporters, which means that the law requires them to call the DCFS hotline, which is 1-800-25-ABUSE, as promptly as possible once they have a reasonable cause to believe that a child is being physically abused, which includes excessive corporal punishment, sexually abused, which includes if a parent is allowing someone else to sexually abuse their child, neglect, not being fed, not being provided medical attention, or exposing a child to an environment that might be unsafe during this time. The person has to be someone living in the home, someone who might be new to living in the home, or someone who's taking care of the child. This also includes children that might be in placements, so foster homes or group homes where they might be being exposed to some abuse or neglect. In January of 2020, the legislature in Illinois made it clear that all volunteers that work with children are mandated reporters and must be trained. Most of CASA volunteers have gone through the training. If you're looking for a website to be where you can find the training, you can find it on the DCFS website, and you will also be able to find it on the Illinois CASA website. As volunteers, many of you have had long-term relationships with the children that you advocate for. You know the families, you know the patterns in the family, you know the child's history, you know the people that are important to that child, and you have an ability now more than ever to connect with that child and act as their confidant. For those of you who are watching right now who do not fall in a category of being a mandated reporter, maybe you work at a food store, drive a bus, or if you are just a neighbor of a child and you have a reasonable cause to believe that the child may be being abused or neglected, I would urge you to err on the side of caution and call the DCFS hotline. From that point, let DCFS do their job. They will send out an investigator within a certain period of time, depending on the allegations, and they will do a thorough investigation. It is better to call and to have been wrong about what you saw or heard than not to call at all. You might be the person who changes a child's life. Again, that number is 1-800-25-ABUSE. I'd like to express gratitude to those of you who have already decided to step up for a child, and for all of the current CASA volunteers who are out there. You are people who have shown not to be afraid, people that have chosen to take on something very difficult. There are no easy answers in the child welfare field, but I guarantee you that you are changing a child's life. For those of you who are possibly on the fence about volunteering, I would urge you that this would be a very, very good time, and we would be here to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. So our next speaker today is Justice Wharton. Justice Wharton is a retired judge from the 22nd Circuit Court in Illinois. He decided to come out of retirement to accept a role as a justice in the 5th Appellate Court. And Justice Wharton has spoken at the Illinois CASA conferences in the past. He was very instrumental in beginning the CASA work in the counties of CASA of southwestern Illinois. And so right now I welcome you to listen to Justice Wharton.
Good afternoon. I am so honored to be asked to participate in this worthy effort. Hands Across Illinois embodies the spirit of CASA. I remember CASA programs, and probably they still are, struggling with being underfinanced, underpaid staff, but with a cadre of totally dedicated volunteers, and with dedication and commitment and concern for our young people, we have persevered, we've survived, and we're going to prosper. I would like to also say that CASA and this program embodies the spirit of volunteerism. Child abuse and neglect was first highlighted by little Mary Ann Ellen McCormick, a young lady who was beaten every day with a bullwhip by her caretaker. But the neighbors got involved. They refused to sit idly by and watch this happen. And as a result of that, we wound up with the first child care agency concerned with abused and neglected children in America. This spirit of volunteerism continued 25 years later. Right here in Illinois, the first juvenile court was established, also as a result of the efforts of volunteers. And then, of course, in 1982, the initiation of CASA. Volunteered and community directed for the benefit of our children. And I dare say that except for jury duty, there is no aspect of the court system where volunteers are more involved than CASA. I am very much a dinosaur because you will not find, I don't think, any other judge sitting on the bench at this time who had the unfortunate experience of having to sit in the juvenile court without the benefit of CASA. All the things that we talk about today, CASA being a great friend for children because social workers change, state attorneys change, guardian ad litems change, foster parents change, and the need for a special friend. I've experienced that situation. And as a result of that, I tragically tell you that children fell through the cracks, children became parents too soon, children dropped out of school. They became part of a pipeline that led into our criminal justice system, into our prisons. And unfortunately, most unfortunately, children died. We must all dedicate ourselves to expand CASA to underserved and unserved counties. We need your input as volunteers because you're outside eyes into the court system that can help us see what can be improved. How can we make the court system more inviting and less intimidating to young people? We need your advocacy as concerned citizens and voters to elevate the importance of the juvenile court. We want not just us to be aware that this is the most important court in the courthouse, but the public, the judges, the legislatures, and everyone must recognize this also. We don't want the least experienced state attorneys and judges in the juvenile court system. We want the most experience. The current pandemic that has already been discussed can only lead to more, unfortunately, abused and neglected children. However, we can take pride and be happy that we have an organization like CASA that's there for the unfortunate children who will not be, like in the olden days, forced to fall through the cracks and not have a special friend to advocate and be with them through their trying experience in the court system. I would like to express my sincerest gratitude, volunteers, the staff, and our financial supporters who have worked tirelessly to ensure that every child can develop to their full potential in a safe and nurturing environment with a special CASA friend. Please stay safe because we need you. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Wharton. And now our next speaker is retired Judge Robert Anderson. Robert Anderson recently retired after serving as a judge for 27.5 years in DuPage County. The majority of that time, he worked in juvenile court hearing child protection and delinquency cases. He says that juvenile court was his favorite assignment as a judge because it's the one place where every day he had a chance to change the future in a positive way. Judge Anderson is retired from the 18th Circuit, and he currently serves on the Illinois CASA board as one of our board members. So welcome to our virtual platform.
Thank you very much, Kristen. I'm honored to be invited today. Actually, I'm so honored that today's the first day in probably 2 months that I'm not wearing sweatpants and I actually have a suit on. So thanks for the opportunity. I want to echo some of what Justice Wharton has said in his eloquent remarks. I feel as a trial judge who sat in juvenile court, I owe an incredible debt to CASA and the CASA volunteers who appeared before me. Early in my career as a judge in juvenile court, I had a very serious child protection case. Kristen has given me a time limit. I could probably spend about 15 minutes telling you all the details, but I'm not going to. But the bottom line is that ultimately, by agreement of all parties, after the parents did everything they were supposed to do, the child was returned home to the parents. The CASA volunteer continued to monitor the situation and went to see the child on a number of occasions. And on one of those occasions, the CASA volunteer noticed that there was something wrong with the child. The child was losing weight, did not appear to be in good health, and again, it was a young child, but it appeared that the child had been seriously abused. The CASA volunteer reached out, got help, got the child to the hospital. The emergency room doctor who saw the child that day said that the child literally would have died if the child had not come to the hospital that day. The parents were not feeding or giving the child liquids, and the child was again being abused. This CASA worker literally saved the life of that child. I was the judge on that case, and I have never forgotten the impact of what that CASA worker did. All the people who volunteer as CASAs do significant work. Often it's not as dramatic as the case that I just told you about, but CASA workers provide judges information that we don't get from any other sources. The DCFS workers and the workers for other agencies that DCFS contracts with are, in my opinion, are very hardworking, dedicated people, but they are overworked and underpaid, and they have generally too many cases. The CASA volunteers are able to do things that the caseworkers are simply not able to do. And based on that, they provide us information, and by us I mean trial judges, information that is vitally important that we don't get from these other sources. And based on that information, we make better decisions. Based on that information, a child's life is changed for the better on a regular basis. So as a trial judge, and speaking on behalf of other judges who are fortunate enough to have CASA volunteers in their courtroom, we owe a great debt of gratitude to those volunteers. They do make us better judges. And I echo what Justice Wharton was saying. It is vitally important that we work to get a CASA on every single case. I'm fortunate, I worked in DuPage County, and initially when our program first started, we did not have enough volunteers, but for many years now, we've had enough volunteers so that we have a CASA on every single case. And again, it makes for better decisions. It makes for children who are returned home faster when it's appropriate to return them home. It makes for children who get permanency in other ways if that's the appropriate way to go. So I think that we need to make sure that we work, as Justice Wharton said, to make sure that every court system in the state of Illinois has a CASA program. Again, it will make for better decisions. It will make judges will owe an incredible debt of gratitude to those CASA volunteers, but most important, it will benefit the lives of those children who are unfortunate enough to come into our system. And it will make their lives better. And as Justice Wharton was saying, often the only stability that these children have is that CASA volunteer who is with them throughout the course of the case. Often the caseworkers will change. Sometimes the judges will change, sometimes the GALs will change, and that CASA worker is that source of stability. Again, I could go on, but Kristen has asked us to kind of keep our remarks relatively brief. I again want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to all of the CASA volunteers and to all of the CASA programs and to the state organization for the great work that you do. And I pray that we can expand that work and get CASAs for every single child who comes into our child protection system. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Judge Anderson. Next, we are going to move on to some impact stories. The first one is a dual presentation from Cindy and her CASA experience along with her CASA volunteer. So Cindy, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, James, and hello and good afternoon, everybody. And thank you for inviting me to speak today. And I am honored to be here and thrilled that Morag Bishop, our CASA, has agreed to join me in today's speech. So I'm Josh's mom. It's probably the most important thing in the world to me. And Morag is our CASA, and so now we've known Morag for about 2.5 years. And I would say that the most important role that Morag serves to us is she makes our lives simple. And so the theme you'll hear throughout this little 5 minutes or less, as I've been asked, is to share with you what Morag does to keep our lives simple and to keep us unified and providing our son Josh with the best, fullest, and most joyous life possible, and providing him with the opportunities that he's missed throughout most of his life. So a bit of background. Josh is now 17 years old, and we met him 6 years ago. My wife Nancy and I have had the pleasure of watching him grow up from just shy of 12 years old to now just shy of 18. Prior to reaching us, Josh lived in 7 different orphanages in 1 third world country, came to the United States and faced 2 failed adoptions. And then we thought things were getting better for Josh. He spent 2.5 great years learning coping skills and having life-changing experiences at one of One Hope United's residential programs. And then unfortunately, he was dealt one more final blow to his journey, and that was his foster care placement immediately leaving One Hope failed. We were blessed, and Josh joined our home and our family, and we've been hoping for that for years. So now it all sounds good, and we met Josh on his first day at One Hope United when we were visiting with our therapy dog. And I will say the moment that we met him, he stole our hearts, and his spirit just simply consumed us. So as I said, he's been with us for 2 years. And hopefully as soon as the Lake County courts get open and we can get a new adoption date, he will be ours forever and we will be his forever. So, I think it sounds like a picture perfect story and ending to a horror movie. But there were a lot of things that Nancy and I didn't fully understand about bringing in Josh to our family. We just knew him as a sweet kid from One Hope United. There's a lot involved with bringing in a specialized, dually involved foster child. Along with that, we were taking in 15 months of backlog from his prior placement, paperwork, unmet needs, missing records, red tape, and more than I can even remember. And the good thing is, part of the reason I can't remember it is Morag worked very hard to keep it simple for us. But if that doesn't sound challenging enough, add into the fact that Josh didn't begin his formal education until 7th grade due to situations with his adoptive family. He has a learning disability, he has an eating disorder, and suffered trauma beyond anyone's imagination and just too unspeakable. So how do we take this complex child and novice foster parents? Well, actually, we had one son prior, but that was 30 years ago, so life has changed. So how did Morag step in and keep this all so simple? She helped us with everything. She explained what meetings were about, what we needed to do to prepare for meetings, paperwork, acronyms. I'm still lost with some of the acronyms. She's guided us through countless caseworker changes and an agency change. But without any doubt whatsoever, the greatest thing that Morag brings to our relationship is simply that she listens. She listens to me, she listens to Nancy, and above all else, she'll listen to Jacob. And I think you might hear her talk about building that relationship. Listening is about as simple as it gets, and pushing me in the right direction is pretty easy sometimes, though some might dispute that. She listens when I'm angry, when I'm joyous, when I'm sad, when I'm panicking, when I'm often frustrated. I've also learned that I burnt out one of Morag's phone, calling her to just chat about things that seem like astronomical accomplishments that most friends and family think of as just everyday occurrences. It takes a CASA to understand the impact on a family when a child is 16 years old and finally feels brave enough and safe enough to put an item on the grocery list. And in case you're wondering, Jacob's first item on the grocery list was brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts. But the other thing is there are the late night texts, the self-doubt, and then there's the early morning moments of joy of, we just now heard Josh singing in the shower for the first time. And poor Morag had to hear all about what the song was and the days that he invites friends over and any other normal childhood experience that are first for our Josh at at age 16, 17. So keeping it simple isn't just paperwork. Sometimes it's just common kindness and sharing a heart. And so I can't thank Morag enough for being our CASA, getting us through all these trying times. And she shows up whenever we need her. Josh had a situation where he cheated on a test at school because he was afraid that if he didn't pass the test, we would lock him out. We, of course, would never do that. We love him. But it took a lot to get through that situation. Morag came to school with us to meet with the dean. She comes to the IEP meetings. She explained ACR meetings and got us through that. And sometimes she just takes me out to coffee, whether it's to celebrate, to mourn, to vent, to rant, and often to dry tears afterwards. So it's important to know that Morag, as our CASA, is the only member of our team that ever receives a hug from Josh. So simply put, Morag is our partner, and she's our unsung warrior and stops me from probably irritating and annoying far too many people. I doubt that Morag will tell you that her job in dealing with us is all this simple, but it is for us, and I want to give Morag an opportunity to talk to you about her vision and the opposite side of what it's like to step into a new family with a 16-year-old and how she has guided us through all of this. So with that, Morag, our hero and our warrior and our keeper of simple matters, would you go ahead and share a few words?
Of course, Cindy, thank you so much for asking me to speak with you today, and thank you for those really kind words. I've got a tear in my eye actually as we speak. I've been Josh's CASA for 2.5 years, and as Cindy said, he's a complex teenage boy who's been through unimaginable trauma. Cindy used the words keeping it simple. It's not been at all simple for me to get to know and build a relationship with Josh. Much of the time, it's been a really, really rough road because he basically doesn't trust adults. Many have let him down dreadfully in the past, so it's not at all surprising. However, the day that I got my first hug from Jacob, I felt that I'd won the lottery. It was just the best feeling. As you know, it is my job to advocate for Josh's best interests. Both Cindy and Nancy have made that very simple for me. They adore Jacob beyond measure, and they would move heaven and earth for him. He's thriving in their care on so many levels. I've had the pleasure of watching him grow to be a self-confident, polite, and mature young man under their loving and nurturing care. Cindy and Nancy keep on top of all his needs, academic, health, and just his general well-being. They have always been welcoming to me in my role as a CASA, and they've always been open with me. And as such, our relationship has always been positive, warm, and collaborative. All of us looking out together for Josh's best interests. So that, in essence, makes my job as a CASA very simple. So thank you again for letting me speak today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Morag. You're the best.
So are you.
Thank you so much, guys. We're going to go ahead and hear from our next panelist, who is Leda Garcia Greenwald. Leda is a current Illinois CASA board member, a former recipient of services from CASA, and is the Foster Care Alumni of America Illinois chapter's board president. So with that, I'll go ahead and let Leda talk.
Thank you, James. Thank you for inviting me today. I came into the child welfare system when I was 12, and at that point I was assigned to CASA through Cook County. There just aren't enough words to describe what having a CASA has really meant to me and to my family. I'm the oldest of 6 children in my biological family, so each of us were kind of assigned to different CASAs at different points in our cases. My CASA Miriam was I think second-year law student when she took on my case. So I really admired her in her work ethic. She was younger. She was also in school. So I found a lot of ways to relate to her in that aspect. When I was 19, I got adopted by a Lake County CASA who had been my foster parent for quite some time at that point. So I really had the opportunity to see how much work goes into being a CASA and the work that my adoptive mom, Janice, puts into the youth that she works with, particularly teens, because I think teens just don't have as many opportunities to be advocated for. Lots of people, when it comes to the child welfare system, enjoy taking in younger kids or babies. But it really, being a teen and advocating for a teen and working for a teen comes with unique struggles, just because we're at a different point in our lives, and there's unique circumstances that come with advocating for that age group. I originally came into care because of domestic violence in my home, and my CASA was really great at, throughout the entire point in my case, she always checked up on me. She asked me about my family, both, whatever foster home I was in and my biological family. She really took the time to get to know me and my family and my dynamic within my family, which really meant a lot to me at the time. Since then, I've graduated with my bachelor's in social work, and my CASA was there to celebrate with me. She celebrated my adoption with me, many birthdays. I've celebrated birthdays with her, and it's just become like she's my older sister sort of thing. And I've just always appreciated that she really took a step forward and not only advocated for me, but made sure that my family was doing okay and advocated for the needs of my family as well. So it's just, I've really much enjoyed having that experience. I don't know that I'd be where I am today without having both a CASA of my own and then having a mom that's also a CASA and really appreciating the work that goes into that. I've now decided that I want to go to law school, and I'd be lying if I said that my CASA didn't have anything to do with that. I think that really guided me into that that path that I want to go on now. So just wanted to share that with you all, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Leda, for those amazing words of what CASA has meant to you. Next, I want to bring forward to the digital podium the Cook County Public Guardian, Charles Goldberg. Charles has been with the office for nearly 29 years and has been in his role as public guardian, both in the acting and as his current role for roughly 2 years. So Charles.
Thank you, James, and thank you to Illinois CASA. It's really a privilege to be participating in this program. And I really want to thank the people who have been providing these very moving, very personal testimonials, because these very moving, very personal testimonials really drive home how important the work that we all do is and the work that CASA does and the role of CASA volunteers and how CASA volunteers can make a difference in people's lives. My office has the privilege of representing about 6,000 children in their abuse and neglect cases in juvenile court in Cook County. And we've had the privilege to work side by side, hand in hand with CASA volunteers in many of those cases. And in fact, James mentioned I started with the office almost 29 years ago. When I started, we actually shared office space with CASA. Which was a particular pleasure, and we'd have lunch together and so forth. And as CASA has grown and grown, they have their own office space now. And I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Illinois CASA for that growth and for their incredible programming and for all that they do for youth in care. Over the years, the 29 years I've been with the office, I don't even know how many cases I personally worked on that had a CASA volunteer that did incredible, tremendous work. And at the office-wide level, it's hundreds and hundreds, thousands and thousands of cases. And as was indicated, the CASA volunteer is often one of the few, sometimes the only stable long-term connection in that child's life. And because of the COVID-19 crisis, the incredibly important work that all of you in CASA do is going to become even more important. Kim King, in her remarks, mentioned that hotline reports are down because mandated reporters don't have eyes on kids. So the CASA relationships are all the more important. And in addition, in this age of COVID-19, social service agencies and DCFS is moving toward remote monitoring of children, which of course is important that they do that for the safety of the children and the foster families and the families and of the public. But that's the remote monitoring it's just not the same as in-person monitoring. And so when we get past COVID-19, it was mentioned that it's estimated that child cases are going to go up anywhere between 5 and 15%. And if that happens, the incredibly important role of CASA and CASA volunteers is going to become all the more exponentially important. So I thank Illinois CASA for all that you do. I look forward to working with all of you in person once again, as opposed to remotely, once all of this is behind us and we move into some semblance of normalcy. Wishes to all of you to stay safe and to stay healthy. And thank you for all that you do for Illinois' children. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Mr. Gilbert, for all of those words. And now we have a chance to hear from our legislators. So thank you for those that have been patient. And I just ask that we keep our remarks quick. We thought this was just going to be an hour, but you know, it was so good to hear about, you know, the children that we serve. So the first legislator that we're going to hear from today is Laura Murphy. So Laura, welcome to our virtual podium. And Laura is the Deputy Majority Leader of the Illinois Senate, and she represents the 28th Senate District in Illinois. So thank you, Senator Murphy.
Well, thank you, Kristen James, for putting this on today. You know, typically we'd see each other in Springfield. You come down on your advocacy days, and we'd be able to build energy off of each other, and you'd be able to feel more of the appreciation that we have in the General Assembly for everything that you all do. The impact that you have on people's lives and the changes that you have the opportunity to make are unprecedented. And we're here mostly to just thank you for all the work that you do. The COVID-19 new environment has caused so many new challenges, and what things are going to look like at the end of this all, we're not sure. But what we do know, and the thing that keeps us up at night, is that 34% of our children have not checked in since March 20th. In the school systems. We don't know what's happening once that door is closed behind a child and what that challenges are going to present to all of you as we evolve out of the COVID-19, stay at home and beyond. So we just want to know that your efforts, want you to know that your efforts don't go unnoticed. They are extremely appreciated. You've heard judges and administrators and DCFS and all these people talk about how important it is. So you are the glue that holds this whole system together. And know that we appreciate every effort. We understand the difficulty of what you go through. And we just encourage you to continue to do what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Murphy. So our next person to come to our podium is Senator Pat McGuire.
Good afternoon. This is a mournful week in the district I represent because it was 3 years ago Monday that the body of 17-month-old Samaje Crosby was found in her home in the southern part of my district. So I've been looking forward to this virtual town hall because it's an opportunity to say thank you to everyone involved in CASA and celebrate your achievements. For the last 16, 17 months, I've served on a bipartisan, bicameral DCFS working group, along with perhaps half a dozen other legislators who are on this presentation. And we hear from everyone. We've probably had 20 meetings, heard from many, many, many stakeholders. And from every quarter, we hear praise from CASA, especially for the reports that you submit to juvenile judges. So I want to thank everyone involved with CASA, the statewide staff, the local staff members, the volunteers, the judges, the caseworkers, and especially to my home CASA, CASA of River Valley right here in Joliet. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Senator. Next, we want to bring forward Senator Scott Bennett. Senator Bennett is the chairman of the Agricultural Senate Committee and represents the 52nd Senate District. Scott?
Okay. Okay. Am I not on video? Oh, I see. Here we go.
There you go. You're in the car, I think. Looks like you're in the car.
Like Director Smith, I'm on the road as well. But first of all, I wanted to thank anyone who's still on the call. I know you've been very patient to last, so that speaks to your ability to be a CASA. It takes a lot. Before I came to the legislature, I was a prosecutor in McLean County and then Champaign County doing cases largely that had to do with extreme child abuse. And in those cases, I got to work a lot with CASAs that helped see the kids and helped kind of shepherd them through the process. When I left the state's attorney's office, I had a chance to become a CASA advocate. That's redundant now, a CASA volunteer rather, with Champaign County and Rush Record and the great team they have there. I was on a call earlier this week with some of the people on the phone, including Mary, and they were talking about the efforts that CASAs are making right now to see their kids when things are so difficult. And I hadn't seen my kids. I have 3 in one case that I hadn't seen them in about a month. They live about 45 minutes outside of Champaign. So I made arrangements yesterday to go see the kids. We made sure we social distanced. We sat outside. We wore masks. We sat 10 feet away from each other. But it was just a really great opportunity to see the kids, see what they're doing. And this wasn't planned, but I did want to show you this. This is a drawing. I folded it over so all the identifying information is gone. This was the youngest of the kids. He's 9. And actually, I feel like a hostage showing like a newspaper. It says Tuesday, showing it was just yesterday. But he draws me this picture, and as we're talking at the end, he says, "What's the best thing you did today?" Or what's the thing you enjoyed most today, or something like that. And I didn't know. I was trying to think of my day. And he says, "Because I know, it's just sitting here talking to you." And that meant so much to me, because you forget with all the things going on in these kids' lives, especially right now with the isolation they're feeling. They're not with their friends. They're not in school. They just need a little bit of stability in their lives, and CASA provides that. So I've seen CASAs as a CASA myself, and then of course through the State's Attorney's Office, but cannot thank you enough for your efforts, whether you're a CASA staff member and are helping those volunteers get to the families, or are a volunteer yourself. It means so much to these kids, and often I don't think you realize it. So I just wanted to make sure I added my 2 cents on that, and how much you play a role in giving these kids a little bit of stability in a very uncertain time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator. And our last senator that is speaking really doesn't need any introduction, but I'll go ahead and do it. State Senator Sarah Feigenholtz is the Vice Chair of the Human Services Senate Committee, represents the 6th Senate District, and because of Sarah's advocacy for CASA last year, we were able to get our first ever statewide appropriation. So Senator Feigenholtz, the ball is all yours.
Thank you, James. You know what? I just want to make it really quick, and what a lovely introduction. It's just been great working on these issues with my colleagues in the House and the Senate and bringing child welfare to the fore. I mean, if you sort of look at what we accomplished last year, never did we envision the COVID-19 crisis and how visionary we were when we talked about it in the perspective of an extra set of eyes and the value that CASA brings. Not only statewide, and it's not because they told me that they bring value. It's because I've heard it from a lot of attorneys, a lot of child welfare advocates in the work group that Senator McGuire was referring to. The judges were just over the moon about the reports and the assistance that CASA gives. So this may not, this has been a very difficult time, and we also have to accept the fact that this could go on for a very long time, and that even if we are back into a semi-normal environment, we have to think ahead about how we can utilize CASA even more and grow it, because my sense is that we're going to have a lot of limitations when it comes to child welfare. I, for one, am in some ways thrilled that the hotline has diminished, but it always raises the question of what is going on with these kids. Even though a lot of them are intact and aren't screened in and under the purview of CASA, there's still a lot of visiting and a lot of follow-up that needs to be done. And I'm looking forward to entering this time with CASA with all these things that we have to radically accept that we never would have accepted before, as far as, and think out of the box about how we can continue to take care of these kids. So again, thanks CASA for everything you do. And I look forward to continuing our relationship.
Thank you very much. And our next speaker today is Representative Costa Howard, who represents the 48th House District in Illinois. So welcome to our virtual podium.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I want to thank you for including me as part of this panel. It was really wonderful to hear about how a law student changed somebody's life as their CASA advocate, because CASA has been part of my life since 1994, when, as a law student, I was part of the second class of CASA advocates in DuPage County. Judge Anderson had my case and many more since that time, but after becoming a CASA, I eventually transitioned into serving as a court-appointed guardian ad litem, and I continue to work alongside CASA even today to meet the needs of our students and the children who are in our districts. And while as CASAs and as a GAL, we are the eyes and ears of the court. But as you know, sometimes we need an extra pair of hands and at times feet on the cases for which we serve. So for me as a guardian ad litem, that's where CASA has been one of the greatest assets that I have. They do more than just maybe assist with trying to find some food resources for families. CASA has made sure children receive eyeglasses, gotten them to a doctor's appointment to make sure they receive the necessary vaccinations for school. They help prepare art projects to complete during visits with parents. In fact, in one case, we had a CASA advocate who was able to get a laptop for one of our minors, and so that child could participate in a photography class while she was in a residential facility. And then, as you would imagine, that CASA took the extra step of attending that art show. We have CASA advocates who have been instrumental with our older youth in care as well, right? So they've helped navigate a college application process, even talking about different college opportunities or trade schools, even helping our youth in care with that confusing myriad of issues involving financial aid. And as we look at these difficult times, we could never have predicted what is happening right now for our advocates and our families in need. And so our CASA once again has stepped up. They help our families think outside the box to find ways to connect not only to services, but even during visitation. They have brought food to families. I've talked to CASA workers who have read books over Skype. They bring lunch and do FaceTime calls with kids just to make sure that they're, again, having that touch with that child and doing that extra check on them. If you're thinking about becoming a volunteer, all I can say is please, please, we need you. We need you to step up. We need your help. CASA has made a difference in the lives of children and families across the state of Illinois. But I can tell you as a guardian ad litem, again, we need you. Our court system needs you to be that extra set of eyes and ears on our families. CASA, again, thank you. You make a difference in the lives of children and families across our state. And as a lawyer, as a child advocate, and now as a legislator, I can't thank you enough for all that you do. So thank you very much, and thank you for the time, and keep it up.
Thank you, Representative Howard. So our next representative this afternoon is Representative Parkhurst, who is the chairman of the Higher Education Senate Committee and represents the 79th House District in Illinois. So welcome, Representative Lindsay Parkhurst.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here today to participate in this first annual Hands Across Illinois event and recognize those children affected by abuse and neglect. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we are living in a truly unprecedented time. Our daily lives have changed dramatically, and for many, their situations have worsened. While the stay-at-home order is helping us to stay healthy, it has detrimental effects for those who do not have a safe home. April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, so now is the time to stand together and let those children know that they are not alone, and to thank our CASA. I'm here to voice my support wholeheartedly for the work of CASA and to advocate for those children and families that are affected by neglect and abuse. I was an assistant public defender for 10 years in the abuse and neglect court, and CASA was invaluable in moving cases safely forward to reunification, not only for the children, but also for the parents who need an extra set of eyes and ears to report to the court that, you know, they are able to have a relationship with their children during the separation, and, you know, the efforts that maybe other people aren't seeing. So not only for the children, but for the parents who are trying to get themselves out of an abusive relationship and get their children back, or are fighting drug addiction. I can't say enough. We had a case where a foster placement was going to fail because the child developed special needs, and the CASA worker went out, bought supplies, and built a modified ramp and hand railing, which solved the problem to be able to transport the child back and forth for services. And that was something that we were trying to do within the court system and with DCFS, and couldn't get done. And the CASA just said, this is what needs to be done, and did it. They go above and beyond what's expected of them. So thank you, CASA, for everything that you do, and for continuing to keep families and children safe in Illinois. My hat's off to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Representative. Next, I would like to bring forward Representative Ann Williams. Ann Williams is the chairman of the Energy and Environment House Committee, represents the 11th House District, and is an adoptee herself. And so, Ann, would you like to start?
Absolutely. Thank you so much to everyone for having us here today. A special thank you, of course, to my good friend James, who really has changed the landscape for children in need in Springfield. You've done amazing work and continue to do so. Just look at the great group we have gathered here today. So thank you again. I think what everyone said here, I don't want to repeat everything, but we're really dealing with an unprecedented situation. And anything that was a problem or a challenge before the pandemic has just deepened and worsened because of the pandemic. And nowhere is that more evident than in the case of child abuse and neglect. We are busy worried about public health impacts, dealing with economic challenges, which we've never seen in our lifetimes or several generations, yet the doors are, as someone said, the doors are closed behind the children, and we don't know what's happening in those homes. And it's really terrifying to think of the micro of this big macro problem. But it occurred to me when I was listening to some of the speakers that when you're a CASA volunteer, sometimes you do deal in life and death of these children. And that is an unbelievable and huge responsibility. But you also can, the small things and filling in the gaps are important. As Senator Bennett mentioned, making a kid's day, letting someone know that they're important and valued and special. Those are also critical for, for all of us, and especially kids in situations as the kids that we're talking about today. So I think it's important to recognize the incredible value of the work that CASA does every day. And that applies to the big things and the not so big things. And anything we can do, we will do. Turn that off. Anything we can do, we will do to help ensure that CASA has the resources it needs. And I have a feeling you're going to be needed more than ever as we evolve through this crisis. So again, thank you for all you do. Thank you for hosting this wonderful event today. I've learned so much in the short time we've had this conversation. I look forward to hearing from you more in the future.
Thank you so much, Representative Williams, for those kind words. Next, we would like to bring forward Representative Thaddeus Jones, who represents the 29th District and is the chairman of the Insurance House Committee. Representative.
Thank you, not only James, and hello to everyone. Before I start, I would like to give a shout out to my colleagues who are on this call, and thank you for all the work you're doing during this crisis. But in particular, give a shout out to Judge Anderson, who not only I took at Loyola Law School, but has imparted knowledge not only to myself, but as Representative Costa Howard said, that's been a great advocate. So Judge Anderson, thank you for all of that. Even though I didn't get an A in your class, I appreciate you imparting all the knowledge that you did with me at Loyola Law School. Let me start off by thanking Costa and this wonderful program for Hands Across Illinois. Growing up with 11 brothers and sisters and watching my mother raise kids that were not her kids, I know the importance of children having an angel that's sent by God to protect them, and also sent to look out for them and to have a good word, and for someone to know that they love them. And each one of the volunteers and organization and people you have in your organization are those angels to those kids. And that's something that, with me just getting involved in the organization, I want to continue. But I want to thank not only the judges and the volunteers, but everyone from the staff to Costa for not only imparting knowledge in the kids, but protecting them. You guys do the work of angels, and I appreciate that. And I look forward to working with you more in the General Assembly as you move forward. And just again, thank you, and I'll end with that.
Thank you, Representative Jones. I appreciate those words. And our next person is going to be Representative Joyce Mason.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. I know we're running short on time, so I'll make it really quick. First of all, I want to thank everyone at CASA, particularly all of the volunteers who really commit and work so hard every day to make children know that they are important, that they're special, that they feel loved. No child ever should be hurt and should feel less than or unloved. And you do that hard work, and it is hard work. So I'm so, so grateful to you. We know that in an average day, there are approximately 222 cases or reports of child abuse in Illinois, and over 34,000 are indicated every year in Illinois. That is a whole lot. And too often the system that was designed to protect our children leaves children at a huge risk of other things, of dropping out of school, of drug abuse, of alcohol abuse, of violence, suicide, unemployment, so many different things. But when CASA gets involved, those numbers change for the better. And now kids have that extra person who really cares about their well-being, who takes the time to look out for them and communicate to the court system about what's happening. And suddenly, kids are finishing school and they're knowing that they're important. They're staying away from drugs and alcohol, and they are kept safe, as we've heard today. So it's really, really amazing work. And we're just so, so grateful for it. For those of you who are out there thinking about becoming a volunteer, know that if you do, it will make an incredible difference. And we need you. Right now, those cases, those reports of child abuse, as others have said, have been going down. And sadly, I don't think that's because there's been an improvement. It's because these things thrive behind closed doors. And in fact, we know that abusive situations often get much worse and escalate when people are under tremendous stress, as We all are now. So now's the perfect time to sign up and get trained and be ready to help those kids when they need it. So I encourage everyone to do what you can to look out for your neighbors, look out for the kids in your lives. Sign up to volunteer if you can. Volunteer or donate to CASA or your local domestic violence shelter. These kids belong to all of us, and it's up to each of us to make sure that they are safe and well and have the childhood and the love that they deserve. It's just super important. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart for all that you all do. Thanks to those of you who are watching, just for taking the time to do that. And let's make sure that we are focusing on domestic violence and child abuse every month, every single day, and not just in April as we move forward. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Representative Mason. Next, we would like to bring up Representative Winhurst, who represents the 118th House District. Representative?
Well, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to be here and the invitation to participate in Hands Across Illinois. And it has been said, April is Child Abuse Day, as we know, is also Foster Care Appreciation Month. So as these two, this time comes together this week, I thought it was appropriate just to thank all those who are involved in the foster care and abuse and neglect system. So I want to say thank you to Illinois CASA, to CASA volunteers, to foster families, and to all those who work to improve the lives of children. You know, together we can make a difference, all working together, working to benefit and improve the lives of children. Thank you again for the invitation, and I appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Representative. Next is Representative Anna Moeller, who is the chairman of the Healthcare Licensing Committee in the House and represents the 43rd House District. Representative?
Thank you, James. I just wanted to express my appreciation as well for all of the great stories and inspiration that I've received today, just hearing from all of the different panelists. In particular, thank you, Judge Anderson and Judge Wharton, for sharing your experiences in the child welfare system, and in particular with CASA. I was very moved by your testimony. Thank you to Cindy for what she's doing as a foster parent, and thank you for the stories, you know, from people who've experienced the system firsthand. It is CASA is a wonderful organization. I've known about the service and the work that CASA has done for many years now, but as a legislator, I've had the opportunity to see more closely how important this organization is to ensuring the safety and welfare of children in our state. We know that children need to have at least one stable and reliable adult in their lives, and for many, CASA volunteer is that one stable and reliable adult for many of our children. And in talking to families and DCFS employees, and looking at ways that we can strengthen the child welfare system, the importance of the role that CASA plays has just become so much more evident. I have, as a legislator, I have several CASA volunteers in my district who reach out to me on a very regular basis to give me their perspective and their experiences as I work to, to help reform the system and consider legislation and budget considerations to help strengthen our child welfare system. So not only are they invaluable for what they're doing for families and for children in our state, I find as a legislator, they're invaluable in providing great perspective for me as I work in the legislature. So again, thank you for everything that you do. I was very happy to see and very supportive of making sure that we were providing greater resources to CASA throughout the state last year in our budget. And I will work to make sure that we continue to support CASA in the coming years, knowing how important it's going to be that that we have that system in place for our children. So thank you again. Thank you for all the work that you do. And thank you for taking care of our children in Illinois.
Thank you, Representative Mahler. I appreciate all of that. And I just want to apologize again to Tom Bennett and Scott Bennett for getting your videos mixed up. So now we have Representative Thomas Bennett, who serves as a Republican spokesman on the Elementary and Education Appropriation Committee. Hey, I got it out. Represents the 106th district in Illinois. Welcome.
Great. Thank you. I'm glad to be with you. It's all fine. With Senator Bennett, it's all in the family, so it's all good. It is. I do appreciate the stories that were shared today. The energy, the concern, the care, the love that was heard was just amazing, and I really appreciate that. To the young lady that is going to go to law school, that's a wonderful story, and more power to her, and I wish her the best as she starts to head in that direction. But as a father and as a grandfather, I'm especially grateful to the court-appointed special advocates, foster care, and all those involved that stand up for our children each and every day. Your task has been, of course, greatly complicated by these difficult times that we are in today, yet you strive every day to make things better and keep our kids safe. I want to thank you for all that you do, and please know that your work is necessary, very necessary, and deeply appreciated. The work you guys do are game changers. Game changers. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Bennett. And our last legislator today is Stephanie Kifowit, who is the State Government Administration Chairperson and also serves as the Veterans Affairs Chairperson and represents the 84th District in Illinois. So welcome, Stephanie Kifowit.
Well, thank you, Kristen and James. Always the best for last, I just have to say. I just want to give a quick plug. Everybody said such wonderful things, and CASA Illinois does such a great job, and I appreciate all that you do. I am the chair of the Veterans Committee. I am also a veteran. I served 4 years in the United States Marine Corps, and working really hard to connect CASA with veterans that can use a purpose, can use a mission in life. And I think what great of a mission than to connect with CASA Illinois and to be there for the kids. And so I just want to, first of all, give a shout out for those that are veterans on the call. Thank you all for your service. I want to thank CASA and advocates for all they do. Thank you so much for your hard work and your dedication to our children. I'm on the Child Welfare Committee, and we are working really hard as a state right now to look out for our kids. And I just, working together is where our strength is at. And CASA bringing together over 300 people on this call is amazing and phenomenal. And it's just a testament to the great work that you all do. And I just want to say that I am so motivated to be working with CASA, especially in the veteran community, so that together going forward after COVID, after things have normalized to whatever normal we will see in the future, that we can continue to bring together veterans and CASA and advocates and to make sure that we have the best people fighting for our children. So again, James, thank you. Kristen, thank you. And you all are doing, everybody on the call is doing a phenomenal job. So thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Representative Kifowit. And thank you to all of you who have been patient and sat with us with our hands across Illinois. This has been a great event. We've heard from so many people, so many individuals. The value of Illinois CASA, the value of CASA across the country is just more than we can even express with the words we've used. So thank you for this. I appreciate it, and I appreciate being able to work alongside James as we've done this together. And so James, I'm going to pass the podium on to you.
Thank you, Kristen, and all our presenters. Every single one of you guys have brought the importance of a statewide mission of lifting up the voices of children who have experienced abuse and neglect. So I do appreciate the dedication that we have taken. I know that we put it on your guys' calendar for an hour, and we just now went past the hour-and-a-half mark. So thank you, everyone who has stayed with us. I've been watching the attendees list. We've pretty much held strong on both the attendees on the webinar and on the Facebook page. So for those that are on Facebook, thank you so much for spending this last hour-and-a-half with us in our network. And I'm going to go ahead and let Mary say the last word. So go ahead, Mary.
Okay. I just want to say thank you to my staff at Illinois CASA. A year ago, it was Kristen and myself, and now I have a team of 7. James and Kristen, you did an incredible job today. And it is incredible that we had 500 participants come together to talk about their experience at CASA. And really, I am rarely speechless, and I am right now. So thank you all for being part of this. And even though we couldn't be in person, I think we can all agree we felt the love and warmth today. So everyone enjoy their day, and thank you for being with us. All right, bye-bye.